All right, so hopefully I didn't catch you off guard. Believe it or not, there are 100x opportunities in crypto. I'm sure you've seen it, and if you haven't, well, you can refer to my old YouTube videos, look at the coins I was calling. You're gonna see some 100x's. I've 100x. I'm sure you've seen somebody else in cryptocurrency talk about 100x's, although not everybody gets to make these type of gains. It is more common in cryptocurrency. Now, reason I'm saying that is because I have a strategy video that I put out a couple weeks ago. It's called, how to become a Bitcoin millionaire in 2022. And I got ridiculous amounts of positive feedback. Okay. Now, these are typically strategy type videos. So I dive into extreme detail and depth on exactly the daily habits that I do, right? The exact trading strategies. Now, I will say these two videos will go into conjunction, and the last one's more about trading. But this one is more about the know-how and setting up exactly your computer, what news sources you should be researching, kind of like looking at it from a broader term perspective. So kind of like connecting the dots, right? So the last one would be like specific trading, right? And how you should, handle your portfolio. This one would be like kind of like where you get your news from, like where's your sources of information, how you filter out all of the bad coins so that you can have a more, I guess you could say, efficient strategy, being efficient with your time, right? So that's what I'm gonna dive in this video, and I think it's gonna be really good. Keep watching. What's going on, everybody? Alex back with another video, and my name's Alex. I talk about cryptocurrency. I'm an educator, and I've noticed that people have a problem, so I try to solve it with these videos right here. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the complexities of my strategy, how I set up my day-to-day, the habits, basically all the research methods I use to find the highest quality information. So it's not me giving you the fish, it's me showing you how to fish, which is 10 times to 1,000 times more valuable, because then you could replicate it for yourself and come up with your own systems so you can ensure the success for yourself and the own variables in your own life, right? Because trading after somebody else is not a good thing. It's never a good idea, and you should not do it. And this is not financial advice. You should never, ever follow somebody else blindly. And I tell you guys this over and over again. So if you appreciate these videos, yes, it takes me in some cases 2 to 3 days to put together. Please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with a friend. I talk about cryptocurrency entrepreneurship, and I don't accept, coin sponsors or sponsorships by anybody because I have my own product. So I'm going to jump into all the details of exactly how I trade. So if we come over here, confirmed. Crypto millionaires use this strategy to 100x profits. This is very true, and it's confirmed multiple times. So let's go to the next slide. In this presentation here, my goal here is to give you the skills to be able to pull it off yourself. And I just want to be very clear, very, very clear. And the target here is to get above average. I put 100x there because that's kind of like the common standard in crypto. But my goal here is to give you above average returns, right? So for example, what do I mean by that? Above average returns is anything usually above, Bitcoin and Ethereum returns. So if you can get higher percentages and more percentages than Bitcoin in a time period, then you're doing well. So that's the two major goals that I'm trying to pull off here. And my goal is to educate you guys. Now, the problem is in cryptocurrency, in any market on planet Earth, no matter what business you get yourself involved with, there's going to be a learning curve, and it's just kind of overwhelming, right? It's very overwhelming. Sometimes there's just too much information. It's a double-edged sword in the internet, right? When the internet, became this thing where everybody uses it, it did open the floodgates for all types of info and allowing access to millions of people and billions of people to, this open kind of environment for information sharing. But the problem with this is that, there's kind of like too many opinions. So it's kind of almost better and more valuable nowadays. And this is where you see a lot of the value captured, with like experts and stuff like that, or you can call them gurus or whatever you want, where they kind of consolidate this information to make it not only learnable, right? Because some people learn in different ways, but also it filters it out for you. Okay. It's going to filter it out for you. So I'm kind of just trying to give you a roadmap on how to develop this for yourself. That's the point, right? You need direction in your education. You can't just go on the internet, and I've argued with multiple people about this, and I know I'm right because I'm the only one that makes the most money, but it's very simple. You can't just go on the internet and listen to everything everybody says. There has to be a mechanism to where you could filter out the fakes versus the real. And I want to give you a direction and how to do that. I'm not even giving you how to do that. I'm giving you the direction to get there, which is more important in my personal opinion. Free does not always mean good. Trust me, people can sell you on some BS. All right, so if we look over here, the benefits to trading in cryptocurrency is that you don't need advanced hardware. You don't need anything crazy. It's like almost like you have to just dive deep in your research, and that will give you the massive benefit. You don't need any crazy resources. I mean, it's obviously better. Like, for example, if you look like a hedge fund, of course, they're going to be purchasing all these softwares to increase the efficiency. But that margin for a hedge fund is so small considering the amount of capital that they use, right? So they have, so many more headaches if they're trading with $100 million versus a portfolio with 50,000. So again, like when you get more money, then you should definitely get these softwares and go crazy. But with a smaller, regular size portfolio that the average American or average person can deal with, you don't need crazy resources. You don't need all these software. You don't need anything. You could use your intelligence to get, these profitable trades, these 100x trades, and you could definitely do it from a phone. I've seen people do it from a phone. So you don't need hardware or resources to pull this off. And other markets you definitely do. And I want to put this out here because the way I'm going to start this video is I'm just going to slap you guys as hard as I can. I'm going to slap you guys as hard as I possibly can over the head with the truth. Okay. And I don't care if people don't click the video and, people stop watching it after this section here, but I kind of want to isolate myself from the common thoughts and what people try to sell you because I think it's BS and I think it causes a lot of harm. So I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that won't work. Thomas A. Edison. And this is a great quote because failure is never like a bad thing. And you should definitely adopt that mindset. If you can't adopt that mindset, I think you probably can't make money in crypto. That's just true. All right. So let's eliminate all the lies and misconceptions that you guys find on the internet right now. I'm going to just take away all these limiting beliefs right off the bat. It's very simple. It will not be easy. And let me be clear. Let me say it again. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be probably the hardest thing you've ever done to make some serious profits in crypto. Now, I will say, again, being that it's an emerging market, it's in a new emerging high risk, high reward, asymmetrical environment, being that this new market is in existence, you can make above average returns, right? You can make much more money than an already established competitive market. That is true, but it does not mean it's easier. Okay, I want to be very clear because maybe some people have taken what I've seen out of context. And I know a lot of people on the internet will like to make it seem like it's easy so that you can consume their information. Because if they just told you off the bat, like, for example, if you have a grandma and you're like trying to get her to like use Excel and you told her, oh, it's going to be really hard. You have to learn all this and stuff like that. She's not going to want to do it. She's not going to pay you for her service. But if you said, oh, it's super easy, you can learn it in 5 minutes, people are going to jump on it, right? So it's kind of this marketing gimmick that people are exposed to. And I'm just going to tell you straight out and just kind of eliminate and annihilate all of that right now. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Also, another thing is that they try to tell you it's going to be quick. You can make it overnight. You can make it in a month. You can make it in a week, right? And don't get me wrong, like, it's a quicker than average. And sometimes it does happen. Like I would say there has been times like the best trades I ever had happened in 2 days. Like I would get like a, 13x in 2 days. Like the Shiba Inu trade I show you guys where I turned 15K into like 120,000 in literally like less than 48 hours. And it does happen. It does happen. And it happens, in my personal opinion, more frequently than other markets. But I'm going to say that just to be safe, right? Not only to be safe, but to be like the most secure way of guaranteeing you'll get results is that it's going to be a long period of time. And you should be thinking in terms of 1 to 5 years. Even though there are outliers and there's anomalies and things like quick returns will happen. Most of the time, 99% of you, it will take a long period of time. Like my Ethereum trade when I bought at $3 to $7 and I sold close to 4,000. It's going to take ridiculous amounts of time, like 5 years. 5 years is a realistic expectation. 5 to 10 years is the way you should be thinking in cryptocurrency. Also, you will have to overcome like seemingly impossible tasks. Like the hardest things right now, you probably, if you looked at it and I told you you had to do it, you would consider it impossible. You are going to have to overcome this if you want success. And this is like kind of like pretty much anything. Like it's not just native to cryptocurrency, anything. If you want success, like this is literally the point. It's not just native to cryptocurrency. Pretty much any task that allocates you large sums of money that's disproportionate to other people, their common person's money. Like, so $1 million is not common to a common person. Anything that gives you high reward like that is going to be extremely hard. So these are just kind of like the standards that you should live by in general for you if you want to make money and actually become successful and rich and stuff like that. So you have to overcome the impossible. Also, it's going to test every fear that you have. So again, it's kind of like elaborating on what we just talked about. If you're scared of anything, it will most likely be exposed on your journey. On the journey to success and the road of cryptocurrency, you have to drop your limiting beliefs and your fears, right? And a lot of times it's not even physical effort. Some people work very hard, right? And a lot of times it's not even skill set. Some people are just smart and work hard, right? Sometimes it's just these little fears that they're not willing to overcome, right? And that's why I want to be very clear with you guys. For example, like people have fear of money. Like it's so crazy because the brokest people have the biggest fear of money. And it's the reason why they're broke, right? So like these things will have to be overcome no matter what. And we'll get more detailed, of course, I promise, guys. So if let's go over here, we have a couple more. You will fail over and over again, kind of just elaborating kind of on the quote that we talked about before. And the consequence is actually above average. You're going to be losing your time and your money. So if you do like a normal business venture, most of the time, well, not most of the time, but there's a lot of opportunities out there where you can kind of just work your butt off and you don't really lose money. Maybe it's a small investment, like, $100 that you might lose. But in cryptocurrency, you could lose a lot overnight and your time and all your effort. So it's kind of this amplifying effect. And this is kind of just elaborating on how hard this is. And I just want to be very clear with you guys. And you're going to have to learn skills that you're never going to use again. I feel like that's a huge fear for a lot of people. And that's why I put it in there, where it's like, for example, like from my entrepreneurship journey in YouTube, I've edited 600-700 videos. Tell me, editors, if you're, in the comment section, if you're an editor, tell me that's not a lot. I've edited 600-700 videos. I probably edited a little bit more than that, to be honest. And now I don't edit anything. I have a whole editing team to make these videos for you guys. So same thing is going to happen in crypto. There's going to be a lot of skills that you will probably never use again in any other industry. And the simple fact that you're just going to have to learn. You're going to have to develop a thirst for knowledge that you cannot quench, okay? Like it has to be unlimited. You have to be extremely curious, and you have to be willing to learn anything and drop it at any time. Also, this is a big one too, because people put their value in their friends and family. No one's going to believe in you. No one's going to believe that you can get to 10x or 100x. Nobody's going to believe you can grow your portfolio to these massive amounts. Nobody believes this. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't derive the energy internally and stop looking for external verification, like posting on social media, asking your dad if this is a good business venture, or your friends, if you can't stand the thought of them not confirming your belief, then this is not cut for you. You must find motivation. And I hate using the word motivation because there's no such thing, but you must find a discipline. You must find a discipline internally from yourself. If you cannot do this, you will not win. And I mean, maybe you could win, but at least if you can't do that, then cut off all your friends and only surround yourself with people that confirm your beliefs. This is also very scary too, because they can just confirm you into being naive, right? So it's good to have both. And I think the ultimate answer is just to be internally motivated and not externally motivated. But that's a whole nother topic of discussion. Also, this is kind of like the last one, and I do want to explain kind of a little story. I talk about this with the people at my office and stuff, and this is a good underlying principle for everything, including cryptocurrency trading. You're going to have to drop your baggage, okay? So I want you to think about, and I've said this in other videos, where there's two guys climbing a mountain, right? One of them has a full bag of unnecessary items, and then another one has only what he needs to get to the top of the mountain. Who do you think is going to get to the top quicker, right? And it's the same thing with, like, of course, the top of the mountain means, in this case, cryptocurrency success, right? So there's going to be things that you do that's too much. Sometimes it's not about adding things to your life, and it's about subtracting, right? And taking away Netflix and taking away video games and taking away this horrible, smoking habit, or taking away this bad food habit. Whatever the case is, there's going to be a lot of times where you have to take these things that you're not willing to sacrifice out of your life. And this is what comes back to like overcoming fears and stuff like that. But if you do get through all this, and now that you understand the complexities and how hard it is to achieve above average results, then you can start to work and you can start thinking with a clear mind, which is going to get us into the foundations of knowledge. And what you should probably know before you even start getting into crypto. And if you're already in crypto and you're already trading and you don't know these things on a professional level, you should treat everything you do on a professional level. There's a difference between an amateur and a professional. There's a huge difference. And that gap is the difference between $20,000 to $1 million. There's just a huge exponential gap. And it's the reason why nobody ever gets success. So first thing, you must understand money. And it's crazy to say that people really don't understand money. I'm willing to believe that most of you watching this video, like I would say the above average, might not actually understand the complexity of money and how it works with the world, like on a deep level. You might understand like the surface level, and that's what pretty much everybody else understands, but you need to understand it very, very deep. And, just a couple of kind of bullet points here for you to take heed of. And of course, you can screenshot this video. You should take notes, definitely. But as you can see here, the history of money and understanding where money came from and other forms of money. You need to understand the Federal Reserve and how they potentially taken advantage of the world reserve currency USD. Even if you're not in the United States, you need to understand how the Federal Reserve works in the United States. Why? Because it's the world reserve currency. It's the standard of currency across the whole entire planet. The euro was the world reserve currency. I'd be telling people to learn their system, okay? But being that the United States just happens to have USD, you need to understand the Federal Reserve and how they're taking advantage of people. You need to understand inflation, stagflation, deflation, all these things, right? Macroeconomics in general. You need to understand basic finance and how to save money, how to budget, how to control yourself in bad spending habits, how to not spend too little, right? That's a big one. It's a pitfall. People go too cheap, which in the long run messes things up. And you need to understand how to overcome your limiting beliefs about money. That's a huge one as well. Like, people valuing money over time. A perfect example of this is like a minimum wage job. You're valuing money over your time. Like, you should just get a better job that pays more, right? And there's a lot of things you could do to do that. Like, you can easily increase your skill set and make more money for your time. So valuing time more than money is a big thing that took me to the next level, and actually applying it to my life. People don't apply it to their life. Like, they're doing too much. Like, a big thing for me is like, I make a lot of YouTube videos. You guys know this, right? And that's like what I primarily do. Most of my time I'm making videos, right? So if, for example, my friend comes to me, hey, let's fix up this bike. Like, the question is, should I pay somebody else to fix the bike, or should I spend 5 hours fixing this bike? For me, being that I value my time, 9 times out of 10, I'm paying somebody else. It could be the most standard things like cleaning. Like, not everybody's in a position to pay somebody, but if your hour is worth more than the person that you have to hire, then it's probably usually smarter if you pay somebody else and you double down on what you're doing and making what you're doing more profitable. But that's like a whole nother topic of discussion. Also, like, risk is the new safe, right? And when I made this long video, you definitely watch it. I forgot the title of it. Risk is definitely the new safe. Like, you have to understand, once you start understanding the world, then you realize that pretty much every big dog takes on big risk to just like, stay afloat, right? Also, stop being attached to money so much. Like, look at the people, for example, that have like $500 saved in their bank account. Ask them, hey, go invest in this coin. They'll say no. But then when you tell them to buy a pair of Jordans, they're buying a pair of Jordans on the spot. Like, they're not even thinking about it, right? Or they're buying food or whatever the case is. Like, you need to be able to like not be scared of investing your money and losing it. Like, it just needs to be a big thing in your life. And that's what I implore that a lot. And this is what got me a lot of success. I lost and lost again, but it's called the law of averages. You do something over and over again, eventually you'll get success. Also, stop making decisions off of scarcity. Like, people are just so scared of like what's going to happen in their life. And it's kind of mirroring what we just talked about. They make these weak decisions that don't really benefit them at all. And it kind of just prolongs the problem, right? Just like, oh, I'm going to go invest in this 401k and just prolong the problem of your retirement. You're just going to prolong it for 30 years, like, and double your money. Like, you're only doubling your money. Like, the inflation will eat away the cost of your 401k before you even know it. And you're prolonging the problem, right? Don't prolong the problem, attack it at its source. Also, you need to understand macroeconomics, how the world works, how the economies connect. Forex, foreign exchange currencies. You need to understand Keynesian economics, which is the common, economic theory that, the United States adopts, right? And their unlimited printing. And then you need to understand the difference between that and Austrian economics, which is like the principles embodied in Bitcoin, right? You need to understand kind of the foundational principles that makes Bitcoin popular and makes Bitcoin so valuable. Like, if you don't know that, like, you're not going to make it. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, you're going to get, taken advantage of by people that know you don't know this, right? Imagine all that FUD that people got washed out of. Like, imagine all this like misinformation that got people to sold the market, and then, they never bought back, and look where we're at now, right? And they lost so much money. So like, if you don't have a foundational understanding of crypto in the long-term perspective, you're going to lose, right? Also, this is another thing that people sleep on, but it's big. You need to understand the internet, right? And not just like a basic understanding of you being able to go on Google and search something. I'm talking about you need to be able to know the interconnecting pieces all the way down from a CPU of a computer all the way up into the database of Google. Like, you need to know. You don't need to know like on a deep level, like exactly how it works, but you need to know how it all connects. You need to know everything, okay? Like the internet. You need to understand, how the internet connects, right? If you don't get this, it's going to be very hard for you to understand decentralized databases. Like, it's going to be extremely hard for you to understand the foundations of crypto if you don't know regular internet. right? It's just a big thing that people it's like they like blindly look at, like they don't care. Like, oh, cryptocurrency is crypto, it's trading. No, it's not just trading. You're trading on the foundational technologies of the future. So if you don't understand the current reality, how can you predict the future? You can't. No one can ever predict the future, but you're statistically unlikely to win if you don't know how the internet works. Also, not only understanding how the internet works, you need to have an intuition with softwares. So what do I mean by this? Like, for example, I can go on any software. I don't care how complex the software is. If they sell it on the internet, I can navigate it within 2 minutes and understand where things are and figure it out and have the patience to sit there and figure it out without reading a manual. And I can just destroy it. Like anything new someone tells me to sign up for, I can input my email address, and people even have a problem with inputting their email address and password. Like that's actually a problem that people still have today. It's ridiculous. But I could fill out the form as fast and aggressively as possible and then figure out how the platform works and extract the information I need from it intuitively without thinking. It's kind of like a second nature to me at this point, right? So you need to get proficient and confident with understanding all of the features of the internet, how it all connects, and be proficient. This is a very key word, but it needs to be almost like instinctual with you to maneuver through the regular internet. Okay, if you don't know how to maneuver through the regular internet in a fast way, like in a good way, like not just a basic way, it's gonna be very hard for you to understand Web 3.0 and maneuver in Web 3.0. It's very, very clear. Now, once you become proficient and somewhat of an expert and understanding the regular internet, then you need to be able to predict trends on the regular internet. If you can't predict and identify trends on the regular internet, how are you going to do it on Web 3.0? I keep saying kind of like the same thing over and over again, but it's kind of just me explaining again, like there's so much background knowledge that you need to have before you trade crypto, but like you don't know what an IP is and you're trying to like, dump 20 grand into a shit coin. Like, doesn't make sense. You need to understand these variables, and you need to be able to pick and predict abstractions that arise from the complexities of the internet. And a really good example is when, and I don't want to say it for YouTube purposes, this whole entire situation that's happening with the masks, right? I don't want to say it. And then the Zoom stock started increasing in value. That was a predictable trend because people were indoors. They were much more indoors. So how do they communicate, right? How do businesses communicate? That would be a trend that you should have identified or could have predicted, right? And that's just one example. There's thousands and thousands of examples. So once you become an internet expert, then you can jump into cryptocurrency. But the byproduct of before you jump into crypto, you need to be able to understand the same way we understand the internet here. Understand all the moving parts, understand what a consensus mechanism is, understanding what a block is, how do transactions work with a block, minor extractable value, all these different moving parts of a crypto and how that works with the regular internet. Then you could therefore start predicting trends in crypto, which will make you the money. Does that make sense? I hope you guys understand. A lot of reasons why people follow other people is because they don't have all of these foundations. They're lost. And these are the most vulnerable people are the ones that are lost and are following people and they get taken advantage of. So if you understood all of this, you will not be lost. You will be found. Okay. And then you will, from there, once you have all that foundation of knowledge, then you can predict trends in crypto and allocate your money the right way. And please, someone in the comment section, tell me I'm wrong, because nobody wants to say this. Nobody wants to organize it for you guys and put it in front of your face. Because then a lot of people are going to be kind of called out. Like you're calling it BS, right? Like you don't really know about crypto. You've been there for 3 months. You don't even understand the internet. That's basically what I'm saying. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm just trying to explain to you guys that it's much deeper than you're currently doing. It's much more professional. If you don't know what how much money you've made, if you don't know if you're out competing Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you're not out competing Bitcoin and Ethereum, most people don't even track this, but you should track it. If you don't track it, like, what are you doing? Do you have a professional investment portfolio, or are you joking around with your friends on the internet is the question you have to answer for yourself. And if it's not professional, well, you need to seek the help and understand that you're throwing your money away in a lot of cases. Like, I'm trying to save people from losing money, and I'm also trying to actually there's going to be two different types of people. People that just do not follow this at all and ignore it, right? Those people I'm trying to save. Because, like I said, not everybody gets 100x. It's as simple as that. Not everybody gets like above average results. That's just a fact, right? But if I could save you from losing money, that's a win in my eyes, right? But then there's going to be people that are really willing to stick it out and follow this and actually understand every variable that I'm talking about here. These people might actually get the 100x. And of course, that's an even bigger win for me, right? And that's the point of this right here. It's not for the biggest views. It's because it's the deepest information. So again, you need the foundations, then you can predict trends. It's very simple. So when we get to this point, it gets even more deep. It gets way deeper. Now that you understand the internet, now there's all these little niches in cryptocurrency, all of these shiny objects. They're pulling your attention away, and that's how you lose. If you try to do everything, if you try to leverage trade, yield farm, investing in specifically games like Alex Becker and this new movement with NFTs or swing trading, and you try to do all these different things, you're going to lose. And I kind of put this guy here with the laser beam. And this is kind of what I do. Like, there's these different niches in crypto, and I see the trend kind of moving in one direction. I see the trend maybe just as a hypothetical moving towards games. Once it moves toward games, I take my laser beam and I shoot it at games, and I go extremely hard at games. And I understand every variable of it, right? So it's not enough to have these foundations. That's just a building block after. And then you have to understand your specific investing niche extremely well. Right now, my biggest niche by far is understanding decentralized finance, because I was an early investor in decentralized finance. All my knowledge comes from decentralized finance. And now I'm moving into NFTs and games, as well as like understanding. You want to understand all of these, right? Like, you understand yield farming, but I'm not like 100% yield farmer. I don't do leverage trading at all, by the way. For people that just follow me, I do not do leverage trading. But yield farming, like, I do need to understand the complexity of it, because it has to do with DeFi, right? And you get my point. You want to like find a niche and really hone in on it with laser focus. Now, if we come over here, this is where it gets crazy. All right, this is where we get deep, okay, guys? So again, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you appreciate this valuable information. The internet, like I said, is full of BS, and you need a filtration method. I'm going to break down the filtration method right in front of your face. The internet has all types of crazy information. You need to be able to filter it out yourself for quality insider information. It's as simple as, that's the most basic way I can put it. If you cannot filter out bad information, you're going to lose, and you're going to be a byproduct of everybody else. Everybody else's bad trades is going to be, the bags you're holding, right? So this is kind of like the information hierarchy. I call it the information hierarchy because there's proprietary level information, which is the cream of the crop. And then there's like these surface level information that people get. And then there's aggregated kind of surface level information. So I'll explain the complexities of all three. But obviously number 3 is the most and best quality, information you can get, right? So surface level are things that are like, you just go to these news outlets and you listen to them, and like, for example, Cardano Foundation, that would be like a news outlet that's biased towards Cardano, right? And kind of just like everybody knows how to do this. Like, this is the easiest by far, and most of the time, this is like the deepest people go, and that's a really big problem. But this is the deepest people go most of the time. They'll just kind of get like the Google Trends, like the big trending things that happen, the big FUD news, like all these things. And if you only follow that, you'll lose, because it gets deeper than that, and 9 times out of 10, they have like a bias or a narrative that they're following. So if you don't dig deeper, it's just going to be bad. But it is, I will say, a good thing to know, because you still have to kind of know what the general public knows. Things like this are typically the most viewed content or most read content, or however you track that. More people know about this, right? Understanding news sources. And that's like kind of the category, because it's not just what I put up here. It's going to be a broad range of news sources, but it's like usually the people that consume this is the majority. So the majority people consume this information, okay? Now we have the aggregated information. This is kind of like, I dabble in number 2 and 3 right here. 2 and 3 is like where I live. And this is why I'm not the most popular, right? So if we come over here, this is like aggregated information. So this is like me putting together the highest quality pieces of news, right? This is like Reddit groups. This is like Discord groups. This is like trending hashtags. So there's a difference between like, Twitter, like the regular, like biggest posts. And then there's like, if you like look up Twitter trending for a Bitcoin hashtag, you'll find like really good quality, sources of information, good YouTube channels. There's a lot of BS ones out there, I will admit, that are just strictly doing marketing tactics to get popular. And they're kind of like empty in their research, right? So being able to weed out the bad YouTubers from the good YouTubers, Reddit groups, Reddit itself, Discord, you guys get the gist. Aggregated information to where they kind of already did the filtering for you a little bit. They did the filtering for you, so it makes it more efficient for you to consume that, because it's a little bit higher quality, right? And then the last one, okay, and it's great that I put this out here. Like, if you've been living in this false reality, like now you're understanding why it works, right? Because this is where we get to the deepest level, which is proprietary information. And a lot of times, most of the time, it's two sources. It's from an expert that's half-assing it. This is usually how it is. It's an expert that just kind of gives you free alpha. And if you guys don't know what alpha means, alpha is like just like high quality information that can be used to make money in crypto, right? Even though that's not the literal definition, that is like the definition that crypto made. Okay. So they'll give you like free alpha and it will be very vague. They will leave hints for you to try to figure it out, and they won't explain anything. And a lot of times they're really bad teachers. They're just like experts in their industry, but they're just like really bad teachers. And I'm not saying per se Willy Woo or Charles Hoskin or Michael Saylor fall in this category, but I'm just saying like there's cons to, getting it from an expert that's getting it for free from an expert, right? But then there's paid, right? And Willy Woo has a paid service, right? And a lot of these experts will have paid services. And in these paid services, they're required, considering the fact that you pay for it, to be able to communicate this information in a thorough way to where you understand it, can consume it, and actually benefit from it. So both of them are good, but both of them have their pros and cons. You need to recognize the difference. And it just means most of the time, and people will take advantage of you no matter what. In every industry on planet Earth, people are going to take advantage of you. Even in paid groups, they're going to take advantage of you, right? But if they're still in business and they've been in business for a long time, that means they had to do something right. So, just finding ways, and this is kind of the gist of all of this, is maybe like, we'll sum this all up. Find a way to where you know that they're filtering the information, it's proprietary to where nobody else has it, and it's well executed in telling someone or teaching someone how to consume it and understand it. Because a lot of times this alpha, like I can understand it. I've been in cryptocurrency for a long time, but like I can refer you guys to a podcast that you would have no idea what they're talking about. You would have no idea. Like it's just such a deep level of conversation that the average person will not be able to understand. So you need to find people that are not only experts, but also good at communicating. And that's the big thing right there. And you could see how this works, right? Like I just kind of want to bring it back here. You have the surface level information that most people consume. Then there's quality people that aggregate it, right? There's people that aggregate the information so that you can consume it. And it's kind of like you getting the surface level way faster, and it's a lot deeper, right? And then you have the proprietary level information. All three are required, but I will say the proprietary level information is probably by far the most important. So just pay attention to that. And then the last one, which is probably, I just said most important proprietary, but this is probably more important than that. And it wasn't on this list, but it's you making your own decisions. And I made this quote up myself, and I think it's probably the best thing I've ever done when it comes to quoting. You can stand on the shoulders of giants, but eventually jump off. So to get to the fourth level, it's probably smart that you stand on the shoulder of giants and kind of follow what everybody else is doing. And then following kind of like the alpha or the experts. But eventually you have to jump off. You cannot just stay on it forever. And this is the difference between someone that's good versus someone that's great. They say the enemy of genius is greatness. And people get to that level where they're making like 100K, but they can never get to 1 million because they never make their own decisions, right? And you could mirror this with any industry on planet Earth: basketball, regular business, Shopify, trading. It does not matter. Eventually, you need to make your own decisions, and it needs to be, that's kind of like the next level, if that makes sense. And that's what I always preach here. So then we can go into the actual trading part. Now that you guys understand where to get your information from and, where to make your decisions, you can identify trends, execute trade, have conviction to stay in the trade, and track. Now, if you want to get the gist of this, the other video that I told you guys, how to become a Bitcoin millionaire in 2022, kind of explain this a little bit deeper, but just kind of the overall, right, is very simple. Like you can see, it's only 4 little slides here. Identify trend, understand where Bitcoin's going, understand where the general market's going, okay? And then when you find that trend, you have to find a specific cryptocurrency trend. So for example, Bitcoin goes up, right? We think Bitcoin's going to 100K. That's kind of like the broad cryptocurrency trend. But then a specific trend is like the layer 1. The layer 1s have been recently doing well in proportion to all the other, sectors, right? And then, NFTs have been doing exponentially well and compared to all other sectors, right? And there's like these little crypto specific trends that you can then invest in, and then you can seriously make some money. But once you identify this crypto specific trend, then you make decision of what you're going to buy. And you use different things like sentiment analysis, technical analysis, fundamental analysis to increase the probability of your decision, right? And then, like I said, my other video, I dive extremely deep into this specifically. And I don't really talk about this third one, which is conviction. Having the emotional control, avoiding cognitive biases, kind of like, and the way I explain cognitive biases is kind of like these, when you're driving and what is it called? You can't see the blind spot, right? So your brain works in this way where there's these little blind spots that don't allow you to think logically. So learn cognitive biases, learn the trading cognitive biases, and have conviction in what you're doing. Develop resilience, right? And having conviction in your own decision. If you make a decision, have resilience to stick it out sometimes, right? That's very, very valuable, I would say. And then, of course, develop the experience and then ask the question, did your investment thesis work? Which is basically tracking, and rinse and repeat. And then in your brain, what's going to happen is if you rinse and repeat this process over and over again, you're going to kind of develop like a memory database of all the losses and all the wins. And that's me. I'm the guy that's been doing this for 6 years and rinse and repeating this process. So I've seen so many different wrong answers and I've seen so many different right answers. So when this new thing comes out that no one's ever seen before, I just apply that model of life into this new thing. And then I can come with an answer. And this is where you get like my original work. This is where you get kind of like my proprietary research, of me showing you guys things that nobody else shows you, right? And this is how I contribute to cryptocurrency as a whole and how I, make my YouTube channel and make my course and all that stuff, right? So hopefully this makes sense because I'm breaking it down like if I were, explaining it to a 5-year-old. And that pretty much concludes the video. If you guys want to jump more into, like I said, the Bitcoin trading, go check that video out. I'll leave the link in the description below where it kind of explains this process in more depth. But that's kind of the overview. And hopefully you guys understand cryptocurrency a little bit deeper. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism. Subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this, guys. Catch you in the next one.